Welcome to Joy in Our Town, the ultimate source for community information. I'm your host, Rachel Miller, and I am so delighted that you are with me today. Well, this entire program is focused on some very sensitive issues as we're talking about the holiday season and some of the pain and some of the issues that individuals go through knowing that they have to face someone that they've been abused by when we're talking about gatherings for the holidays, as well as being able to face your abuser. And joining us to hopefully give you tips if you have been a victim of child abuse or know someone who has, to hopefully help to alleviate the sting of it all, is Angela Williams. She is a survivor of child abuse. She is also the founder and CEO of a wonderful organization here in our community called Voice Today. And she is speaking out with her voice today. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for
having me. It is a delight to have you here. This is such a sensitive issue, and whenever we talk about child abuse, or when you think about the holiday season, you don't necessarily think about the holiday season as it relates to child abuse. Tell our viewers about how those intertwine.
Well, so often the abuser, and statistically it's 90% of those that are sexually abused by someone they know, love, and trust. When there is physical abuse, there are signs, there are bruises, there are wounds, there are outward physical wounds. Sexual abuse is a silent abuser, and oftentimes when you've got that 90% is within the family, or it's a close family, extended family member, or it's a neighbor. So we as adults, we travel home for the holidays. Everybody is making their plans now, making their reservations, and a lot of people don't understand that for that survivor, they are going back into oftentimes the location they were abused in, and then they're having to be exposed to their perpetrator. And as it being a silent epidemic, that silent prison of pain, it's very traumatizing.
And knowing that individuals are facing abusers that are in their family unit?
Yes.
How does that work when you're looking at the statistics and knowing the number of individuals that go through or experience some type of an abuse, that it's normally with someone that they know?
Well, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys statistically are sexually abused. That's what's reported, and that's a statistic from the CDC. But only 1 in 10 will ever tell. And oftentimes when they do tell, it goes unreported. And they may tell a mother, or they may tell another family member. And that family member immediately goes into denial, because so often it's just such an enormous, painful experience to face. So they will inadvertently protect the perpetrator. They'll discredit the child. They'll think that the child will just forget. And the child never forgets. It's a wound that takes a lifetime to recover from.
When you're talking about the recovery and you're talking about facing that person, what is that like? And talk, if you would, if you'd like to personalize it, as it relates to overcoming in your situation and knowing that you had to face someone that would do such a harmful thing to a child.
Well, I grew up with sexual abuse as a part of my life from age 3 to 17. My stepfather was my abuser. My stepfather threatened killing my mother if I ever told anyone. So as an adult, when I left home, I left very tragically. I tried to commit suicide. And in my disclosure, my mother actually gave me a trash bag and 10 minutes to pack my belongings. And I was not able to be a part of that family unit anymore. My mother decided to deny it and to stand by her man. And I left wanting to stay a part of the family. So as I tried to mend, I just tried to hide my emotions and my feelings. and I still wanted to be a part of holidays. So I would go back at the holidays. I would try to keep my distance from my stepfather, but I had to pretend. So I had to put on a lot of masks. And so many survivors, that's exactly what they have to do. They have to just repress that pain, repress those emotions, and put on the mask that everything's fine, everything's okay. Meanwhile, they are agonizing inside. They're in great turmoil and great turbulence because they are having to pretend, and they're not able to face that pain, and they're not able to have a support group around them to face that pain. So for myself, it was very triggering when I had to go back home for the holidays. I was in the home that I was abused in. And so every room had a memory. Every place I would look, I could remember what happened. So it was very traumatizing for me. And years later, I look back and don't really know how I subjected myself to that.
Wow.
In my book, I refer to it as really walking through a minefield when I was walking through my home as an adult, those minefield of traumatizing memories.
When you go back and you think about what happened and moving forward in your life, how are you able to put the past behind you and then still be able to function as an adult and move forward and learn the power of forgiveness?
It has been a journey. It hasn't happened overnight, but we serve a very powerful God. I've had to forgive when it says 70 times 70 in Scripture. I take that very literal, and I take that in a very short amount of time. It can be 70 times 70 in 60 seconds. So I've had to forgive my mother and understand that she had a great deal of pain in her life and really wasn't capable of protecting me. My stepfather is now deceased, but I've had to forgive him. There had to be a tremendous amount of pain and dysfunction in his life to act out on a small child and to keep me in such just a violent abuse through my entire childhood. So I would say forgiveness is the key, but also I was able, with a wonderful support group from my family, from my husband, from my children, from friends, really able to process what happened and really come to understand that I'm not damaged, I'm not dirty, I am not perverted. Come to understand that I had no power as a child. I had no voice as a child. And that's why Voice Today is working so hard to bring this issue out of the closet, to break the silence so that we can break the cycle, so that adults can understand that you need to reclaim your voice. You need to be honest about what's happened to you. You need to disclose what's happened. You don't need to pretend that everything is okay, because when they get their voice, they get their healing. That's the beginning of healing.
Is that your advice to someone that has been abused, to tell someone?
It is the very first step, is to break their silence, absolutely. When you can break your silence, you can begin to process. You can't process in isolation. So we at Voice Today truly promote processing in community, being that with a pastor, a friend, your spouse. So often, men and women have not even told their spouse what has happened to them as a child.
Wow.
So yes, definitely to break that silence.
Any words of wisdom that you would give to those who are watching the broadcast today and maybe they were able to see their life in your story? Mm-hmm. And this holiday season, they know that they're going to have to go back and maybe face mm-hmm. some of the same types of individuals or the same type of a situation. What would be your advice? I
would just say, as God gives them the strength to begin to disclose the abuse, as God gives them the strength to walk it out with forgiveness, mm-hmm. As God gives them the strength to be able to understand that they didn't have the power to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, when they're being traumatized with memories, to take a deep breath, to take care of themselves, to take some time out, to go for a walk, to find someone safe to process everything that's happened. But I would just encourage them that they can heal, that they did not deserve the abuse. God did not cause the abuse. It was man's choice, and that there is healing.
And you are working on bringing healing in our community through the organization of Voice Today. Talk, if you would, about the services that you provide through Voice today?
Our first pillar, our mission, if you will, is to bring awareness. Most people don't understand that it is an epidemic. They don't understand that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. Only 1 in 10 will tell. 90% of the abuse is by someone they know and they love and they trust. So awareness is key. The second is prevention. We have prevention workshops and prevention tools to help adults learn how to predict and prevent child sexual abuse. And thirdly, we have healing and restoration resources. We want to come alongside of survivors. We have support groups, we have workshops, we have retreats. We have really one-on-one prayer support for that survivor to know that you have a place that's safe. You have an organization that wants to help you find your voice.
So there are actually support groups that are available for individuals
Yes.
who have been victimized in
Yes.
their home or just the victim of abuse.
Yes, we are running one support group right now in Marietta, and we hope to facilitate support groups all over the city and eventually all over the country. So that's one of our growth goals.
That's wonderful information. And the type of information, when you talk about the healing process and overcoming that, because you literally have had to go through that healing process yourself. And then for the person that does end up having a family, and when you think about your children and not wanting to repeat this cycle, what would be your advice to the parent who maybe feels very apprehensive about even leaving their child alone with someone because of perhaps scars from their past?
I would encourage them to get educated. We all can learn, and every day parents tell me, well, my child would tell me. Well, when your child tells you, it's too late. So being apprehensive is a good thing because children are at risk. So we need to get educated on how we can predict and prevent child sexual abuse, and that's what Voice Today is all about, is offering those resources, offering the training, offering the education. They can go to our website and within 7 minutes they can learn 10 points to protect a child. We're trying to make it as easy and as palatable as possible, but we have to get involved, we have to be vigilant, and we have to be very intentional about protecting our children.
That's wonderful, and what a great message to share this holiday season. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being with us, Angela. We wish you the best in making a difference here in our community. We do have the contact information available to you on the screen if you are interested in learning more about Voice today. Once again, we've been talking to Angela Williams, who is the founder and CEO of Voice Today, who's also the author of the book From Sorrows to Sapphires. She is really making a difference, and it's based on a true story, and she has other great information that she does also make available, workbooks for adult survivors to individuals who have been victims of child sexual abuse. Well, that is all the time that we have for this segment of Joy in Our Town. We're going to come back with some more very important information in just a moment. Don't go away. We'll be right back.